You've always been told your intelligence is your greatest asset. It lets you see around corners, plan with precision, and outsmart just about everyone. But what if I told you that the very habits you've built around that intelligence are silently steering you toward a future you don't want? That these habits are the architects of a life filled with deep, nagging regret. We're about to break down 3 habits that brilliant people fall into every day, and how they pave the road to a place you'll wish you could have avoided. And a warning, some of this might feel a little *2* familiar. Section 1. The trap of overthinking. First up, the habit that feels less like a flaw and more like a superpower, overthinking. Your brain is a phenomenal analytical machine. It spots patterns, runs scenarios, and sees pitfalls others miss. People probably call you thoughtful, meticulous, and the person to go to for advice. You don't just think 1 step ahead. You think 3, 4, 5 steps ahead, mapping out every possibility. But here's the dark side of that strength: analysis paralysis. It's that feeling of being completely stuck, not because you don't have enough information, but because you have too much. You see so many paths, so many pros and cons for each, that you're trapped in a mental flowchart of what-ifs. And it's not just for life-altering decisions like a career change. It's choosing a restaurant for dinner or which TV to buy, turning simple choices into draining mental marathons. This is what psychologists call the maximizer trap. Maximizers are driven to find the absolute best option every single time. It sounds smart, but a landmark study in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that maximizers consistently end up more paralyzed, filled with regret, and less satisfied with their lives than satisficers. People who just choose the first option that's good enough. The endless hunt for perfection is exhausting. Even when you make a great choice, you're left with a nagging feeling, wondering if a slightly better one was out there. It's the paradox of Burden Ass's story about a donkey standing between 2 identical bales of hay that starves to death because it can't decide which one to eat first. Your brain, brilliant enough to see the near equal value in different options, freezes. The regret that comes later is crushing. Because you spent so long weighing your options, the paths you take feel incredibly real in your mind. This creates a painful cognitive dissonance. You chose one reality, but you can perfectly picture the amazing benefits of the one you gave up. It's a constant sense of loss for a future that never was, but feels real because you analyzed it to death. So what's the fix? You can't just stop overthinking. That's not how your brain works. The solution is to create a system that forces your hand. Set a hard deadline. Big decision or small, give yourself a time limit. 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week. Do your research, but when the timer goes off, you must decide and commit. Trust that your intelligent brain did its job, and then move forward. Progress, not perfection, is the goal. Section 2. The myth of noble overwork. The second habit smart people swear by is chronic overwork. In ambitious fields, this is worn like a badge of honor. You're smart, you have high standards, and you believe grinding out more hours is the clearest path to getting ahead. Working 50, 60, or 70 hours a week feels like you're just living up to your potential. But the science tells a very different and much darker story. Our brains aren't built for endless cognitive sprints. While daily capacity for deep work varies, research on productivity is crystal clear. After about 40 to 50 hours in a week, your output doesn't just slow down, it falls off a cliff. Those extra hours you're putting in aren't just less productive. They are actively making you worse at your job. Worse yet, chronic overwork doesn't just make you tired. It can physically harm your brain. Long-term stress from overwork has been linked to negative changes, like the shrinking of brain regions essential for memory and executive function. It's not your brain getting stronger. It's your brain showing signs of damage from being pushed past its limits. This is the fast track to burnout, a state of profound emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion. It robs you of your joy and leaves you in a cognitive fog, struggling to focus. You get caught in a devastating loop. You work until you collapse, feel guilty for not being productive, and then push yourself even harder to catch up. The cost isn't just a career you end up hating. It's serious physical health problems, hypertension, insomnia, and an increased risk of heart disease and stroke. The World Health Organization and International Labor Organization estimate that long working hours lead to hundreds of thousands of deaths each year. You're sacrificing your health and happiness for work that, ironically, is becoming less and less effective. If any of this is hitting home and you're starting to see these patterns in your own life, do me a favor and hit the like button. It helps get this message out to more people who might be feeling just as stuck. And I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and share which of these habits you struggle with the most. Section 3. The Prison of Unexpressed Emotions. The third habit that leads intelligent people to regret is bottling up their feelings. If you have a highly analytical mind, you probably trust logic way more than emotion. Emotions feel messy, irrational, and unpredictable. Your instinct isn't to express them, but to analyze, contain, and control them. You might tell yourself that showing emotion is a sign of weakness, or that it will cloud your judgment. But there's a devastating flaw in that logic. Psychological research has shown that the regrets that sting the most and last the longest are the regrets of asterisk. In action asterisk, the things we asterisk did and asterisk do. This is especially true when it comes to our relationships. You might regret saying something dumb in a fight, but that feeling usually fades. What haunts people for decades are the words they swallowed, the love they never confessed, the apology they never offered, the I love you they never said one last time. The reason these inaction regrets are so powerful is that, psychologically, they remain unresolved. When you take a risk and it fails, the story has an ending. You can learn from it and move on. But when you do nothing, there's no closure. Your brilliant, creative brain is left to endlessly generate what-if scenarios. What if you had asked them out? What if you had been vulnerable with your family? What if you had just said how you felt? These imagined futures are like ghosts that haunt you for years. Suppressing emotions is consistently linked to lower life satisfaction and weaker relationships. By trying to be purely logical, you accidentally starve the most meaningful parts of your life and create a future filled with missed connections. The answer isn't to abandon logic, but to pair it with emotional courage. The strategy is to practice vulnerability. This doesn't mean becoming a mess of emotions. It means learning to say what you feel, honestly and directly, even when it's scary. Start small. Tell a friend you appreciate them. Admit to your partner when you feel insecure. Share a feeling, without immediately trying to solve it. Each time you do this, you're building an emotional muscle. You're teaching your brain that feelings aren't threats to be managed, but data to be valued. In conclusion, we have overthinking, which leads to paralysis, noble overwork, which drains your energy and damages your health, and unexpressed emotions, which create the most painful, lasting regrets. If you see yourself in these patterns, here's the most important thing to remember. Your intelligence isn't the problem. The problem is letting that intelligence run on autopilot. These habits are just the default settings for a powerful brain, but they are not your destiny. You can outsmart your overthinking by setting deadlines. You can fight back against overwork by setting firm boundaries to protect your time and your mind. And you can break free from the prison of unexpressed feelings by practicing small, consistent acts of emotional honesty. Your mind is an incredible tool. Don't let it become a cage. Use your intelligence not just to analyze the world, but to consciously build a life you won't look back on with regret. Thanks for watching. If this gave you a new way to think, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's next. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these habits resonated with you the most? And what's one small step you can take this week to start changing it? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's learn from each other.